All right, team, welcome back to TNT Digital Mindset. Today, I'm really excited to dive into some cutting-edge stuff. I've been poring over the latest research on digital trends, and honestly, it's fascinating. I've even leveraged some advanced AI, yeah, you heard that right, to break down the core insights. This way, we can get straight to the actionable strategy. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Welcome back to TNT Digital Mindset. We've analyzed the latest data on AI prompt writing to help you sharpen your strategic thinking. Today we're going to break down a really simple but super powerful formula to get exactly what you want from any AI every single time.
Just think about it for a second. Trying to bake a cake with zero measurements, no timing. Just this vague idea of cake. You'd end up with an absolute disaster, right? Well, that's exactly what happens with a weak AI prompt. You're just leaving everything up to chance, and honestly, the results are just as messy and unpredictable.
But on the flip side, a great prompt? That's like a Michelin star recipe. It's got precise ingredients, super clear steps. It basically guarantees a fantastic result every single time. It's not magic, it's just a formula.
So what are these ingredients? What's the secret sauce? Well, it all boils down to this really neat four-part structure that'll transform your vague ideas into these crystal clear commands that the AI can just execute flawlessly. Okay, here they are, the four pillars: instruction, context, constraints, and output format. Get these four things right, and you are in complete control. Here at TNT Digital Mindset, we really see this four-part framework as a core principle for commanding your digital tools. It's that important.
All right, let's dive in. First up, we've got the absolute foundation of your prompt, the instruction. So, your instruction, it needs to be a command, not a suggestion. Think of it like this. It's an action verb that leaves zero room for interpretation. You're telling the AI exactly what task to perform.
And look at the difference a single word can make. Tell me about AI is so passive and vague. Where does the AI even start with that? But changing it to explain, boom, that's a specific, actionable command. The AI now has a clear mission.
So the big takeaway here is to build a vocabulary of these, let's call them power verbs. Think explain, rewrite, summarize, list, compare, analyze, create. These are your tools for absolute precision.
Okay, next up is our second key ingredient, context. If the instruction is what to do, then context is all about the why and for whom.
You see, without context, the AI is basically working in the dark. It's just guessing what you need. So when you provide that background info, it's like you're flipping on the lights. You give it the situational awareness it needs to tailor the response perfectly for you.
And as you can see here, you need to define these key elements. Ask yourself, who is my audience? Are they experts or beginners? What's the background situation here? Is my goal to inform somebody, or am I trying to persuade them? Do I want a formal tone or something more casual and fun? Every little detail you add just sharpens the AI's understanding.
All right, let's move on to ingredient number 3, constraints. I really like to think of these as the guardrails that keep the AI on the right road.
Yeah, constraints are your way of preventing the AI from wandering off topic or, giving you this 10-page essay when all you really needed was a single paragraph. You are setting the rules of the game.
And you can get super specific with this. Set a word count in 150 words. Demand a certain style using simple analogies. You can even tell it to avoid things like complex math or jargon. The more boundaries you define, the more focused and useful that output is going to be.
Okay, we've made it to our final ingredient, and this one is all about presentation. It's the output format. This tells the AI how to structure the answer.
You have to remember, the same information can be delivered in dozens of different ways. So you need to decide, do you want a simple paragraph, or are you looking for something more structured? Specifying the format right up front saves you a ton of editing work later on. It's a huge time saver. And you can command this with just simple keywords. Just ask for bullet points, or a numbered list, a table, or even a step-by-step guide. The AI knows exactly how to organize its response for you. Okay, so we've mastered the individual ingredients. Now for the really fun part. Let's combine them all and cook up a perfect masterpiece prompt. Just watch how this builds. We start with a simple instruction. Explain machine learning. Okay, not bad. Now let's add context. For high school students to spark their interest. Getting better. Now the constraints.
in under 200 words, avoiding jargon. And finally, the format, in 3 paragraphs covering what, how, and why. See? Each layer adds this incredible level of precision.
The difference this makes is, well, it's truly night and day. Let's look at a quick before and after to see the power of this formula in action. Okay, on the left, you've got this super vague request. Tell me about Python. It could give you anything. But on the right, a precise command. Explain Python to a beginner. Focus on key features and why it's popular. Keep it under 150 words and use simple analogies. That dramatic difference in clarity, that is the strategic edge we're all about here at TNT Digital Mindset. You go from just hoping for a good result to actually engineering one.
So how do you make this a habit? How do you do this every single time? Well, we've distilled it all down into one simple strategic checklist you can use every time you write a prompt. It's this easy. Before you hit that send button, just pause for a second and ask yourself this one simple question. Have I included all 4 parts of the recipe? Does it have a clear action verb? That's your instruction. Have you provided the necessary background? That's your context. Are the boundaries clearly defined? Those are your constraints. And finally, have you specified the output format? If you can check all 4 of those boxes, you are ready to get a world-class result. If you want to master the digital economy, make sure to subscribe to TNT Digital Mindset. Thanks for listening.